Long before this tragedy, industry leaders raised safety concerns about the OceanGate submarine.
And of course, right now, exactly what happened inside that vessel remains a big mystery.
The OceanGate submersible Titan's catastrophic implosion is a modern-day tragedy that has been covered widely by everyone worldwide. On June 18, 2023, 5 people lost their lives in the OceanGate submarine tragedy. The accident was so tragic that the bodies of the people whose lives were lost didn't leave a single trace behind. It was a grim accident that gave us great insights into underwater physics. We know about the extreme amount of pressure that people felt and how all of it was in an instant. So fast that people couldn't even comprehend what was happening to them. We also know what happened to their bodies. The information on the consequences of the implosion on the body is well understood by the masses, that is, you guys. However, for the masses, the reason why exactly the implosion occurred is still shrouded in mystery. So this is, why did the Titan sub implode? If we had to boil down the answer to you in a single sentence, it would be questionable engineering, negligence, disregard for human safety, and the root cause of all suffering, insatiable greed. And according to James Cameron, yes, the James Cameron, who directed the Avatar movies and is also an expert on diving with a record for the deepest dive in human history, believes that the catastrophe was completely avoidable, just like the sinking of the Titanic.
I feel that this was such a preventable tragedy. We've never had a tragedy like this in the entire history of deep submergence, deep diving.
There have also been wide doubts regarding the material that was used to build the submersible, composite fiber. The Titan submersible was a 22-foot-long, 10,432-kilo vessel that could accommodate about 5 people. It contained about 2 titanium end caps. From within, the sub was quite empty with screens for viewing. It had 5 electronic thrusters which were comically controlled by a video game controller. Some of you may think that this is the most dubious part of the sub, however, it's actually the hull made up of composite fiber that would ring our safety alarms.
I had deep concerns about the technology that they were using, composite fiber wound filament hull, which I don't believe has any place in deep submergence.
Any composite design engineer would have their ears raised at the info of composite fiber being used in a deep-sea dive, with a huge amount of pressure involved. It's because composite fiber isn't really known for its comprehensive strengths. They are best known for tension and are mostly used in aircraft. Why would you use a material that is used for aviation? The rationale behind using composite fiber was because of its buoyancy, to save energy. Typically, submarine hulls are made of steel or titanium with a foam layer for buoyancy. The CEO, who was on board, had stated that they skipped this outer foam layer to cut costs. Who knew greed would come back to bite him? Although not the most diabolical thing to do if you knew the sub was up for the job. On the contrary, OceanGate had no idea if the sub was up for the job because it failed to get any certification from the regulatory bodies. More on that later in the video. The safety measures on the Titan submersible were also quite concerning. The safety measures in the typical submarine or an aircraft have been tried and researched for years. What about the safety measures on the Titan submersible, you ask? The research and inquiry on the credibility of the safety measures on the Titan submersible have been confined to the theoretical level, meaning that the deep-sea dive was technically an experiment on the subject with human test subjects. Adding on to the dogpile of mistakes, the sub's safety measure system was not even fatigue tested. In submarine testing, fatigue tests involve subjecting critical parts, such as the hull or propellers, to repeated stresses to simulate real-world conditions over time. By doing so, engineers can check if these components can endure the demands of their operational lifespan, ensuring the submarine's safety and long-term durability. Fatigue testing is vital in ensuring the safety, reliability, and longevity of structures, including submarines, by identifying potential failure points under cyclic loading, thus preventing catastrophic accidents and optimizing cost-effectiveness. A safety measure like the Titan's must have degraded because of the regular stress that it was facing. The Titan sub must have made 50 dives at a depth of 4,000 meters and had suffered a lot of stress. Something going through repeated stress must be fatigue tested, or else every time you use the sub for deep-sea diving, the people on board are gambling on their lives. The sub was made completely on computers with zero practical and real testing. Through the years, it has been found that composite materials, like the material used in the sub, are not the most adequate to model on a computer. The composite materials are not like steel, which is homogeneous, and the material properties are the same everywhere. Composites are made using matrix material like epoxy. At a more deep glance, you will notice several empty epoxy pockets. These are empty spaces that the epoxy couldn't fill. And it is a technology that is still to be tested physically and not just theoretically. This is not it. If you thought the list of technical incompetencies was over, there is more. For vessels like the Titan sub made up of composite fiber, any composite engineer would recommend curing it in an autoclave. In submarines, curing in an autoclave is a process to strengthen composite materials. High pressure and temperature inside the autoclave creates strong bonds for durable components like hulls and propellers. It acts as a hot oven that pushes out the epoxy pockets. However, autoclaves are expensive and are quite heavy on the wallet. And guess what OceanGate did? They did not cure it in an autoclave, a critical vessel that was to go at extremely deep depths with humans on board. All of the technical incompetencies were the sole purpose for the implosion of the Titan sub. This is how OceanGate's Titan submersible fell to the ocean and its extreme pressures. The Titan sub was quote-unquote meant to withstand the pressure. However, looking back at all these technical inadequacies and the lack of testing, the Titan sub was actually destined to fail in the first place. This was all of the blatant technical mistakes and oversights made by OceanGate. Something that we haven't highlighted is their negligence for safety. OceanGate had no certification for the Titan submersible. The norm before such an event would be to get a certification. Such submersibles are certified every 5 years. Lloyd's Register, the marine certification company, outright rejected their application. The company refused to work with OceanGate, and this is what they decided to do.
They had decided to forego getting registered, saying that it was standing in the way of innovation. That was something that was up on their website. That website has now been taken down.
In 2018, a group of 38 members from the Marine Technology Society's Manned Underwater Vehicles Committee expressed unanimous concern to Stockton Rush regarding the development of Titan. The committee was alarmed that OceanGate had not conducted a standard risk assessment for Titan, as usually done by Det Norske Veritas, DNV, an international maritime classification body responsible for establishing and maintaining technical standards for undersea vehicles. The Titan was not a research vessel from the government or a large research organization. It was a vessel made by a private company for the sole purpose of profit by selling the trip of a lifetime at a cost of $250,000 per person. On the surface, the Titan sub imploded due to extreme pressure and apparent faulty engineering, leading to a catastrophic event that cost lives. However, beneath this facade, the grim truth emerges. The real reason for the sub's implosion lies in a tale of greed, negligence, and an appalling disregard for human safety. Unveiling the layers of this tragedy exposes a harrowing narrative of corporate interests and short-sighted decision-making, overshadowing any technical issues and revealing a disturbing web of unethical choices that ultimately led to the devastating outcome. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content. Until next time, this is Fleet Files signing off. See you in the next video.